Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about procrastination. I have a first question for you. Are you here because you're procrastinating? Well, I'm glad you are because we're on this topic and we're just going to have a chance to talk about it. Look, for most of us humans, we don't procrastinate just for the sake of procrastinating. It usually has like a hidden reason behind it. They're like psychological or emotional barriers that we're facing that actually manifest as procrastination. And it's important to understand those emotions before we try to learn how not to procrastinate. Why do people procrastinate? It may be useful for us to think for a few moments about us, about the moments in which we're procrastinating and the feelings that we have while we are procrastinating. So let's think about it. What are the top reasons for procrastination? Number 1, feeling overwhelmed, confusion, boredom, lack of motivation, and distraction. Okay, let me give an example. When I'm studying for my exams, procrastination normally comes from feeling overwhelmed. And when I have to do the dishes, it usually comes from the feeling of boredom. Okay, it's important to understand our enemy, this enemy, so that we can defeat it. Okay, now let's move on to ways to stop procrastinating. And I would like to take each cause of procrastination and see what we can do about it. So, I've combined those first two things together. So how can we cope with confusion and overwhelming tasks? Okay, number 1, start each day with one major task, blah, blah, blah. Nope, I hate this. I hate this advice. I've heard it so many times. Everybody says, start with the biggest task at hand and just start with one major thing. Honestly, this gets me so discouraged, it's crazy. Everyone says, start with this most overwhelming thing. It will surely encourage you to get started. What? How? This creates so much friction for me. It's incredible. What I like to do instead is I alternate tasks. So I will start with an easy task. Like this, I get motivated. I get that feeling that, ooh, I just completed my first task. I ticked it off my checklist. Ooh, I feel like a winner. I'm ready to tackle the next thing. So then I move on to a larger task. Usually this could be, a very large chapter that I need to read, whatever. After this large task, of course, large tasks are large because they usually take a lot of time. And after I completed it, I'm usually tired and kind of drained and my motivation is pretty down low. So I'll generally have a break, make myself a coffee, and then go back to attempting some small tasks just to get myself hyped again, And then after I feel recharged, I usually try to tackle a larger task once again. So that's my tip. Alternate. Small, larger than small, and so on. Okay, number 2, make written to-do lists. This one I actually do love. To-do lists are proven ways of keeping yourself from getting overwhelmed because they help you split your tasks. And by doing that, you also organize your thoughts. Like if you have this voice that says, okay, now I know what I need to do, like for the next 2 hours or so, you've succeeded. You've done like a pretty well to-do list, and just that feeling of, okay, I know what I need to do, helps you get the feeling of, I can do this. And this also really prevents confusion, of course. Okay, number 3, just start. Like jumping into a cold lake and having that initial dive into a project, those stuff, the anticipation related to it, they're the most difficult and the most unpleasant. Honestly, I the thing is, I could dread reading a chapter for an hour. I would just stare at the ceiling But like once you start reading it, it's not as bad. Like once you start, you acclimate, and the process just becomes like tolerable and sometimes maybe even pleasant. You know, like I'll be reading like, okay, this is like warming up to me. Yeah, it's okay now. Really, I mean, once you get after that first hump, the accomplishment, the inspiration, the confidence, woohoo, you know, they start making room for you to work more. Lewis House, she's a really cool motivational speaker. She has this 5-second rule. Basically, she imagines that a rocket is about to take off, and when she wants to start a task, she will usually count down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she'll just get up or like just start doing the task. Because if she says it out loud, then it doesn't allow her mind those moments of like telling her not to do it. Because if I'm telling myself 5, 4, I don't have time to think, oh, but I'm lazy, oh, but maybe I should do this first, like it just hijacks your mind in some way and just allows you to like jump into the task. Number 4, seek information and support. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed because I don't know where to begin. A while back, I was trying to pick the title of my thesis and I had no idea where to start. I had a discussion with my gastroenterology professor and he told me that I should research a couple areas and let him know what I would be interested in writing about. Of course, he also mentioned the most frequent pathologies that they have at the practice. And this information is pretty crucial. Like for everybody who's writing their thesis or has written their thesis, we all know that it's very important for us to know what pathologies are most frequent in that practice, because they usually mean that you will have patient data. And if you don't have patient data, then you don't have a thesis. So we need the patient data in order to like write your thesis. Okay, basically that information that he gave was super useful, but I had no time to write it down. And by the time I got to a pen and paper or to my phone, I had like forgotten half what he said. Anyhow, I was pretty like embarrassed to just go back upstairs and ask him. I had already changed out of my scrubs. There was no point of going back, and then I just postponed calling the man, and it had just gotten awkward. I mean, I postponed the inevitable for about a week or so until I was just like, oh, enough is enough. I just called and asked, and it was super okay. But the idea is that why did I postpone for so long? I do not know. I really don't. The idea is that every single day or every single week, I just have to relearn the simple piece of advice that I should just seek guidance whenever possible and as quickly as possible, and not drag it along, because it usually doesn't help, and it certainly didn't help me. Okay, now we're moving to the next reasons, like motives for procrastination. So here is coping with boredom, lack of motivation, and distraction. These 3 things are pretty common among students writing for, I don't know, like a mandatory course or project that they didn't choose. Okay, let's see what could be helpful. First of all, you could try to establish a purpose. More often than not, if your sole reason for doing something is simply to finish it, you will succeed, but miserably. So wanting to finish it is not enough to protect you from procrastination. Purpose matters. I recommend, try to be a bit like creative. Let's say that you love clinical medicine, but you just hate the epidemiology course, for instance. Try to think of ways to integrate what you learn from epidemiology in your day-to-day clinical practice, or like medicine, whatever. Like even picture yourself at the bedside of your patient using the knowledge that you gained from the epidemiology course. That would be really cool. Number 2, don't take on too much. Often, we find ourselves that we have taken on a huge task and we have not allotted enough time to actually complete it. More on top of that, we sometimes don't even split it into smaller tasks. And this lack of progress actually results in a major lack of motivation. And I've done that so many times and felt it so many times. So to prevent the stagnation, the boredom, and the life-sucking lack of motivation, work in smaller chunks over a larger period of times when you can. But other than that, if the time constraints are pretty small, then just work in smaller chunks. The sense of accomplishment that you will get from this habit will kill the dullness and the incompetence that you might feel otherwise. So basically, I would say have a couple checkboxes, split it into smaller tasks, and once you complete like every smaller thing, like, okay, I drafted the outline, woohoo, great. Okay, I've done the next thing, great. Like, reward yourself, even for the smaller steps. Okay, number 3, break up unpleasant tasks with pleasant ones. So this may seem pretty obvious because it's so simple. However, many people just punish themselves for procrastinating like the day before, and they do this by immersing themselves the next day with like a whole unpleasant work environment. So I say have a productive break from time to time and do something refreshing. A short diversion is worth more than the time it costs. So listen to me. A short diversion is worth more than the time it costs. Rewards for achievement foster productivity. Look, just incorporate those activities into your to-do list so that maybe you feel like if you still need to be organized, organize a bit of fun. It's super important, at least for me, that I define how much time I will spend doing those fun stuff. So let's say that, I don't know, I want to make myself some pancakes or whatever. I'll give myself tops 15 minutes to do it, because if not, I know that I will get out of my work mode. So that's what I would say for you. Or like if you want some fruits, like cut them up pretty quickly, just do that. Or if you want to take a walk, do that quickly, and set the time. Like if your lunch break is 1 hour, 2 hours, okay, but stick to it. Don't be like, okay, I ate, I might as well watch a movie, 3 hours have passed, oh well, maybe I should go back to work. Keep yourself organized. Okay, number 4, create an ideal environment. So, distractions arise when your environment is imperfect for your work. Listen to me. Distractions arise when your environment is imperfect for your type of work. So, if these distractions are a real issue for you and organizing your tasks does not relieve the impulse to procrastinate, it is vital that you look around you and see and find out what is blocking your productivity. Distractions can range from background noise to a stiff chair, from a cluttered desk to Instagram. So do what you need to do in order to remove or avoid these elements. Personally, this is something I really struggle with. Like when I'm procrastinating, I'm usually scrolling on my phone. And the only thing that gets me to stop is turning it off. Yeah, for my husband. Because like he walks in the room, he's like, what you doing? I'm like, nothing. He'd be like, didn't you say that you were studying and that you need silence? I'm like, oh God, yes. Take it away. And I just give him the phone because I can't. Sometimes I just really can't control myself. So I sometimes turn it off, and this actually can sometimes be a problem if somebody wants to reach you. So another second best option would be turning on Do Not Disturb on your phone, and you could actually select that you could receive phone calls or messages just from certain people. Also, I'd recommend turning off your mobile data and your Wi-Fi, because just hearing those notification pop-ups and emails, they're super distracting. That's what I had to say. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this video and you'd like to see more, then don't forget to listen to your stethoscope as it tells you to like and subscribe. See you next week.